I attended Rogers Memorial Hospital, the outpatient program in 2009, fall of 2009. And it was a huge pivotal moment in my life where I moved from being completely debilitated by OCD to having a somewhat functioning life and then moving into a fully normal functioning life after my stint there. So being at Rogers was one of the biggest steps I've ever taken in getting help. And I continued with some outpatient help after Rogers as well near my hometown. But the combined resources and treatment programs got me where I am today, and I'm very happy. I have had OCD my whole life, but it went misdiagnosed for many, many years. And as a child, my mom still tells the stories about how before I went to bed, I had these rituals, and I can still remember them. I would say, Mom, are the doors locked? Are the windows shut? Is the smoke detector working? Am I going to die tonight? That was my ritual that I had to go through, and everything had to be answered just so. Well, once I got to be a teenager, I stopped seeing some of those things manifest themselves, and I thought it was gone, and so did the family, and nobody really knew what it was. But my husband, who at the time was my boyfriend, and I were on a ski trip in 2006, and he broke his neck snowboarding and ended up paralyzed as a quadriplegic. We're today very happily married, but that event in our lives put me into a traumatic overload. And I started with religious obsessions because my faith was the only thing that could get me through such a trying time in our relationship. And it seemed that OCD, I didn't know it was OCD, but came full force like a hurricane, just attaching itself to my faith. And I second guessed and questioned everything I've ever known about faith or life. And I made it for about 2 years after his accident, suffering in silence, not knowing what this was, and leaving work early, obsessing, constantly looking up answers to my questions online, ruminating, having really intrusive religious thoughts. And finally, I just told my husband I need help. I found out that there was a therapist in Green Bay, Wisconsin I went to see, and she diagnosed me with OCD. Well, it's scrupulosity. So my OCD affects my religious life and my faith. And a lot of that was all in my head. So people couldn't see it. Like with hoarding or with hand washing and checking, there's visible rituals that happen. In my head, I had to kind of explain and put into words to my therapist what was going on in there. And we came up with a program, they came up with a program of exposure response therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy. I had a lot of spiritual counseling as well. And I also learned about over-catastrophizing because I really took things to a whole nother level with what would be normal, and I made them so much more. So I had to learn to put things in perspective, and exposure and response taught me that it was okay to sit in the anxiety and to move forward. Now, for instance, I might have a thought like, have I really repented? Or maybe Jesus isn't my savior. Those sorts of religious thoughts still happen, but I don't feel distressed about them anymore. I'm able to sit in the anxiety or not even feel it anymore and just say it is what it is and be confident in my faith without having to attach all the compulsions and the anxiety to it. So it taught me how to move from sitting in anxiety and panicking to being okay with it. And it kept lessening and lessening to the point where now things just are flowing along. I still take fluvoxamine. I'm still on 100 milligrams of fluvoxamine or Luvox. And the medicinal part of my treatment was huge. I tried 3 different prescriptions before I was on that. And this truly has helped me a lot. And if I miss a day, I can kind of tell. I get a little bit of a weird symptom or feeling from it. So I really try to stay with my medicine therapy. If I have an intrusive thought, or if I connect something, for instance, like if I don't put my perfume on the right way, something bad will happen to my mom. I realize that it's totally I'm over catastrophizing, and I've gotten those tools from Rogers. They've given me the tools, the names for what these things are. And I remember that because it was practice. It took a lot of practice. I really don't know why I wasn't able to do it on my own before, but I think realizing that there was a name for it, that there were other people who had it, that there was help, that I wasn't crazy, all of those things help to ease your mind. And learning from the therapists at Rogers, learning from the people that I continued to learn from afterwards, something just clicked. I just picked up the tools and realized that life would be better if I lived it this way versus continuing to sit in those obsessions. And I also realized that I was so obsessed with my faith, but in obsessing, I was really questioning all of my faith, and I wasn't taking any steps of faith. I was just stuck in this place. So now being able to move forward out of that is huge for me. Seeing my husband get better as well, that part of it, that life goes on after tragedy, that there is hope, that OCD is going to attack the most important thing to you, but you can beat it with help.